You know how sometimes a small annoyance just gets under your skin? Well, what if you took that frustration and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar empire? Sounds crazy, right? But that's pretty much the story of Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai. It's this incredible tale of how scarcity and a few everyday problems became the blueprint for changing, well, everything. Okay, to really get a sense of this journey, let's just put it in perspective. When Sundar Pichai first headed off to Stanford, his dad had to save up his entire year's salary just for one plane ticket. One. Fast forward to today, and Pichai's annual salary could buy a whole fleet of planes. I mean, the leap from that level of scarcity to the very top of the tech world, it's just mind-blowing. So how on earth did he pull that off? Well, that's what we're going to break down. We'll start with his early days, from scarcity to Stanford. Then we'll look at how he became absolutely indispensable at Google. After that, the really cool part, how he literally turned his own problems into massive products. We'll touch on his leadership style and then wrap up with what all of this means for you. Sound good? Let's go. All right, so to really get Sundar Pichai, you have to go all the way back to his childhood in Chennai, India. See, his whole way of thinking, his entire philosophy, it was all forged by the limitations he grew up with. These weren't just obstacles for him. They were, in a way, his most important teachers. And it wasn't some high-tech gadgetry that shaped him. It was three simple things: a telephone, a refrigerator, and a scooter. He saw it firsthand. When they finally got a fridge, his mom suddenly had hours of her day back. The scooter, it meant his dad could spend more time with the family instead of on a bus. And the phone saved his dad endless trips. The light bulb moment for him was crystal clear. Technology saves time. And saving time, well, that makes life better. That idea basically became his life's mission. And look, when we say scarcity, we're not kidding around. His family lived in this tiny two-room house, and they had to rent one of those rooms out just to get by. That telephone I just mentioned, yeah, they waited 5 years on a waiting list for it. His childhood was all about waiting and making the absolute most of what little they had. Just to put a number on it, his father, who was an electrical engineer, made about 200 rupees a month. Well, it's just a handful of US dollars. That number wasn't just a salary, it was the boundary of their world and a sign of the incredible sacrifice that was coming. So then, Sundar gets this full ride to Stanford. Amazing, right? But here's the catch. It covered everything except the flight. So what does his dad do? He goes to his job and asks for his entire salary for the next year, all at once in advance. And he puts every last bit of it into that one plane ticket. There was nothing left over. His mom couldn't even go with him to see him off. Just the backpack he needed cost another month's salary. This was the definition of an all-in bet on their son. Well, that bet, it paid off. Big time. When Pichai got to Google, he didn't just climb the ladder. He basically became the ladder. He rose so fast and became so critical to the company that Google quickly figured out that losing him was just not going to happen. Get this. Back in 2013, Microsoft comes knocking. They want to make him their CEO. So before Google makes a counteroffer, they do something you never see. They actually survey their own employees. They ask them, hey, should we let this guy go? The answer was insane. Almost every single employee, we're talking 99.9% of them, voted for him to stay. Talk about a vote of confidence. And this quote from Pichai just sums it up perfectly. He joked that every time he even thought about resigning to go somewhere else, Google would just turn around and promote him. They threw a $50 million bonus at him to stay, and eventually they just gave him the keys to the whole kingdom, CEO of Google. And if you want to see how much they valued him, just look at the money. In 1 year, his compensation package hit a reported $281 million. That's not just a lot, it absolutely blows away what other top tech CEOs were making. It wasn't just a paycheck, it was Google screaming to the world, this is our guy, and we will pay whatever it takes to keep him. Okay, so what makes a guy that valuable? Well, this is where we get to the real heart of his genius. Sundar Pichai has this uncanny ability to take his own little frustrations, the things that annoy him every day, and spin them into products that literally billions of people use. Okay, perfect example. He's supposed to meet his wife, Anjali, for dinner one night. He's coming from work, she's coming from home. Simple enough, right? Nope. He gets completely lost. By the time he shows up, he's 2 hours late. Dinner's long over, and his wife is, well, you can imagine. She was so mad, she basically told him to go back and sleep at the office. But here's the thing. Instead of just sulking, he spends the whole night thinking, man, if I got lost, how many other people are getting lost every single day? We gotta solve this. The very next morning, he pulls a team together and basically pitches them the idea for what we now know as Google Maps. One bad date night turned into a tool that over 1 billion of us use.
Or how about this one? He's out in the garden with his daughter, and she picks a flower and asks, Papa, what's this? And he has no clue. She brings him another one. Same thing. Total blank. His daughter just starts laughing at him like, you went to all these fancy schools and you don't know what a flower is? He said he was actually genuinely embarrassed.
And that got him thinking again. If he doesn't know, then a lot of people probably don't know. But he didn't just go Google it. Nope. He got a team together to build a permanent solution so nobody would ever have to feel that kind of stumped again. And that's how he got Google Lens, the tool where you can just point your phone at something and boom, it tells you what it is. You see, Pichai has this obsession with speed because he absolutely hates wasting time. He talks about being furious that it once took him 15 minutes just to find a file on his own computer. And then he looked at the internet and saw the same problem everywhere. Back then, search engines like Yahoo could take up to a minute to give you results. To him, that was just completely unacceptable. His goal was simple, but kind of crazy. He wanted search results to pop up before your finger even had time to lift off the enter key. His team was like, that's impossible. But he kept pushing and pushing. The result was Google Chrome, a browser so ridiculously fast that it just crushed the competition. We're talking it wiped out something like 17 other search engines. So yeah, having big ideas is one thing, but what really defines Pichai as a leader is something else. It's this almost fanatical obsession with listening to feedback, even about the smallest, most ridiculous sounding things. And this emoji story is the perfect example. So a couple of junior employees notice that on the Google burger emoji, the cheese is, wait for it, under the burger patty. I know, a total disaster. Their manager blows them off, but somehow word gets all the way up to Pichai. And what does he do? He calls them into his office, personally, listens to their case, and agrees with them. He gets the emoji fixed and even gives them an award for paying attention to that kind of detail. In all these stories, they point to this one core idea that defines his leadership at Google. He calls it the problem-solving product. The whole philosophy is that the best ideas don't come from some stuffy boardroom meeting. They come from real, nagging problems, a frustration that one person feels that you then solve for everyone. Google Maps, Google Lens, Google Chrome, they're all perfect examples of this. So when you look at it, the story of Sundar Pichai isn't really just about tech. It's about a way of thinking. It's about looking at the world around you not as just the way things are, but as a huge collection of problems just waiting for someone to come up with a solution. And the cool thing is, that's a mindset anyone can have. And that really brings us to the final takeaway here. Pichai's whole story shows that huge innovations don't always start with some grand world-changing vision. A lot of the time, they start small. They start with getting lost on the way to dinner, or not knowing the name of a flower, or just getting annoyed waiting for your computer. So I'll leave you with this question. What's that one little thing that's annoying you today? Because you never know, hidden inside that frustration might just be your next big thing.